Hey everybody, welcome back to another One More podcast. I'm here with a couple people. You may know them, you may not. I always forget what Blake's face looks like. We're here to talk about Judge Kavanaugh, I guess, is his official term now, not just, well, I mean, I guess he was always a judge, but
Justice Kavanaugh.
Supreme
Kavanaugh.
Court Justice. There you go. Yeah. So we're going to talk about essentially the beginning of Trump saying, I want to make this man a Supreme Court nominee, to the ending appointment that has happened recently. So I think there's a lot to unpack and there's a lot to discuss and kind of both in setting precedent for moving forward with nominations. And I think that there are certain, I guess when it boils down to the he said, she said 30 years ago argument, I think a lot of prejudices, gosh, I can't talk, and other factors that play a part to that conversation. So moving forward, even if it's not just with a Supreme Court nominee, it could be with a regular senator campaigning or, someone more in the political spotlight, that we have a situation that is 30 years ago, he said, she said, limited kind of conversation. So I guess kind of we'll glance over the timeline, sort of. This is all happening, just for clarification, this all happened between the months of July and October, correct, Blake?
October 6th is when everything came to a close.
When it closed the doors. So real quick timeline, just so we all are on the same speed. Trump appoints Judge Kavanaugh, and he's like, I want to make this guy a nominee. This is his second Supreme Court nomination. And so forward, things are moving along. There's honestly, there wasn't a lot of news on that whole process.
Everyone figured that Kavanaugh would go through smoothly because the Republicans have a majority in the Senate. Everything would just fly under the radar. The Democrats would try to vote him out, but with the simple majority, everything would go smoothly for the Republicans and for Kavanaugh.
Exactly. And so then we have the actual committee hearings, and we have the question and answer, and really digging up and getting to the meat of the man, and whatever historical stuff, blah 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 blah.
This along with multiple FBI background checks on Kavanaugh,
whatever our government has set up to vet and go through all of these nominations and appointments has been done. So I believe this was like the third after the third hearing or something, their second or third, kind of after it's already been established, and now it's like, okay, we're going to appoint him. Blake, you want to take this part?
Sure.
We discover something new.
Yeah, something new came out, and I believe it was the Washington Post that came out with the article that basically was this woman named Christine Blasey Ford's allegation that Brett Kavanaugh, when they were in high school, sexually assaulted her at a party. Which right now, with everything going on the past or since October really of 2017, with the whole Me Too movement thing going on for the past year, this is big. This is derailing for the whole process that have been going on right now. I was telling you all that this almost mirrors what the whole Clarence Thomas, Anita Hill scandal that happened in 1991. Except Anita Hill wasn't accusing Clarence Thomas of actual assault. It was just harassment.
Okay.
But anyway, and so you have this allegation from Dr. Ford come out about saying that Brett Kavanaugh assaulted her. Immediately, Kavanaugh denied that any of this happened, and just a slew of different evidentiary, patterns and concepts came out because of this. So we found out that Dr. Ford, I'm just going to call her Dr. Ford for the rest of the podcast. Dr. Ford said that there was also one of Kavanaugh's friends there, Mark Judge, that was there. She knew that there were 4 other people that were at that party. And she said that this topic had come up in a 2012 therapeutic session with her husband because she had talked about it with her therapist. And that was in 2012. So that was 6 years ago.
And they had proper documentation from the therapist.
Documentation that she actually did have this.
Now, was this like hypnosis?
Did she? No, it was recovered memory.
Did she remember?
Recovered memory.
Okay. Did she remember actual names? Because
she remembered 3.
Okay, because
she remembered 6 people that were there.
Names, faces, and everything.
Yes.
eyewitnesses, it's like 83% of the time you can lead a witness into a conclusion, especially when you're in that
potentially.
sort of
But if that witness brings up that accusation, it's not somebody goading her into it. Her husband wasn't saying, "Hey, do you remember that this happened?" Right?
No, I know.
That never happened.
This was just a therapy session.
When you're in that sort of state, you can add details unintentionally, especially if you're thinking about something very like at
potentially.
The time.
But right now, all we have to go on is what she said about the incident and what Kavanaugh said.
Exactly.
There are some other things that I'll get into with specificity on her story and her witnesses. And
so,
whatnot.
anyways,
we'll get into that.
Even to the point where you can have multiple people actually like full-heartedly believe that they are telling the truth too.
I get that.
Well, sure.
And
we'll
get into all of this, but right now we're just setting a timeline
for
everything that happened.
So then that comes out.
Yeah, that come out. Dianne Feinstein, the senator from California, who's on the Senate Judiciary Committee, shed light on the fact that she had.
I have a thing.
Right, but
this was 2 weeks after.
This was 2 weeks
after the initial Supreme Court meetings and stuff like that. She held on to that.
She held on to it since July.
Well, okay, yes, this is true. So in regards to the whole thing, she's been holding on to this.
So yeah, Dr.
July.
Ford came forward to a congressional woman from California that then brought Dr. Ford's allegation to Miss Feinstein. That was in July. She held that information because she claims that she wanted to protect Dr. Ford's privacy because that's what Dr. Ford wished that she would do. And then right before Kavanaugh is supposed to go through and be voted on by the Senate, the Washington Post hits with this story.
Last minute story.
Like
hot off the press.
Yep.
And so obviously tensions are high. Dr. Ford is called by the Senate Judiciary Committee and by the FBI to come.
And at this point, they push back the voting. Because of this new uncovered evidence.
They push it back by, I believe, 10 days.
Something like that,
And so for that 10-day time, you have all the information that's really just coming out in general. I think we should just still focus on Dr. Ford. I know there are 2 other allegations.
Oh, it's just to complete the timeline.
Okay,
so then
after 2 other allegations come out against Kavanaugh.
And they're public. They come out with their names first. They come out
public. One of them came out. One of the women came forward with Stormy Daniels' lawyer. That I believe she said that she was gang raped and drugged at a party that Kavanaugh was at, and then another allegation came forward that Kavanaugh exposed himself to her at a party.
So, so then that happens, and then more debates, and hearings, and all that happens. They do
Dr.
another
Ford comes forward and actually testifies in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee. So does Kavanaugh.
And then
they hold a vote on October 5th. I think that was the Saturday.
Yes. And this is after another FBI investigation got put into place.
FBI investigated for about 5 or 6 days.
And then they got their results. They gave it to the
Judiciary Committee.
And then they voted, 51 to 49.
No, 50 to 48.
Well, no, to proceed with the appointment.
Oh,
they voted 51 49.
Then it was 11 to 10. Because that's how big.
Yeah. Well, then what was the 51-49 part?
That's just simple majority.
Oh, okay, all right, okay. Yeah. That's what.
Senate Judiciary Committee passed Kavanaugh through to the actual voting on the Senate floor, and then the Senate passed with a simple majority of 50 to 48.
Okay, yeah. And then now he is in.
And then now Kavanaugh is sworn into the Supreme Court.
Yep, that's it. All right, thanks, guys. Yep. Everybody.
Now,
have a good one.
Everyone's caught up. In the news, everything's
that's the only thing that's been happening in the world news.
Pretty much. Exactly.
At least in the U.S. right now.
Anyways,
definitely world news.
So going back to talk about,
let's backtrack.
Dr. Ford specifically. At this point in time, I think there's, and again, I brought this up at the very beginning, just being a he said, she said. What do you guys, with everything that's happened so far, and with all of this, new information coming to light and people's personalities being exposed and all kind of stuff, have you guys kind of adopted the standard of siding with the one claiming to be the victim?
No, my stance has always been we should take these allegations seriously.
Everyone that comes out to a public figure,
we need to take them seriously. But believe is based on evidence, because you still have to believe in due process in this country. you are innocent until proven guilty. And until there is evidence that supports the accuser's claim, then I'll try to remain, impartial until that evidence is supported.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, we are innocent until proven guilty in this country. And as soon as we lose sight of that, we're entering into it. I think we touched on this in the Bill Cosby podcast.
Mm-hmm.
We're entering a dangerous game where somebody's word is all that's necessary in order to convict or prosecute.
True.
Very true. And if we know anything about eyewitnesses, you can't do that. You need multiple sources because they're so inaccurate.
Well, that's the trouble with Miss Ford's story that I think it's no doubt the biggest hole in her story, and it's no doubt the biggest saving grace for Kavanaugh is that she doesn't know when this was.
Yeah,
she can't specify even the exact year. She says, I think at one point she said that it was 82, then she said late 80s, then she said mid 80s.
But can you agree that memory can fade? Memory can fade.
Absolutely.
You can't have
but
all
I
the
can
details.
I can also, and this one I looked up earlier today, and it was basically the accuracy of recovered memory.
Okay.
And this is from the Psychological Science Journal with the Association of Psychological Science. And what they found in their study was that recovered memories were corroborated about as often as 37% of the time. However, memories that were recovered in therapy couldn't be corroborated at all. So your memory is perfect,
highly malleable.
You can. I'm not saying that Dr. Ford didn't experience something traumatic. She very well may have, but the accuracy in those recovered memories on who it was, when it was, where it was, who was that, where all of that happened.
Yeah,
that is just as accurate as any recovered memory, which memory does fade. So we have to take into account. That's why that's one of the reasons why there is statute of limitations in this country, is because the proof, the evidence that's required for a certain case can only last so long.
Yeah.
And so now that's why it becomes a truly he said, she said. But I think it goes a little bit more than that, because every single one, including her best friend that was at that party, the 4 witnesses that she claims were there, 0 of them corroborated. They said that this never happened. They can say that they don't remember at all any of this happening. They don't remember a party where Kavanaugh was at. They don't remember going to a party that Kavanaugh was at. They don't remember ever seeing Kavanaugh outside of school. That to me says a lot. That is evidence that unfortunately goes against Dr. Ford's allegation. I haven't heard any evidence other than what she said and what she said in the therapy session in 2012 that corroborates her story.
Okay.
Yeah, and then
go ahead.
Sorry, and then even if you think about it, like with the Innocence Project, they've had to throw so many allegations out there because so many people just assume profiles, especially when you're given, like you're saying, a 37% recovery. That's ridiculous. It's like throwing a ball at. It just doesn't make any sense. It's like putting someone's life on the line on someone's memory that they're remembering 6 years ago, and then 30 years before that, when they can't even say whose party it was, makes no sense.
The only thing that she for sure can say that she believes 100% is that Kavanaugh was there with her, and Mark Judge was also in the room, and Kavanaugh sexually assaulted her. That's what she knows, and that's what she testified to the Senate. She said 100%.
Yeah.
No doubt it was Kavanaugh.
Now, she's probably remembering an actual trauma.
Sure. I absolutely. And I think Kavanaugh also said this in his opening statement was, I have no doubt that something traumatic did happen to Dr. Ford, but to say that it was me, this is Kavanaugh saying this.
Yeah, it is.
Kavanaugh says there's no way it was me. That's a farce. It's not true. And he also said that about the other two. The other two allegations have even less water than Dr. Ford's allegation. And that's why I don't buy the other two, because not one piece of evidence has been supported of that. at least with Dr. Ford, you have the therapy session notes that can back her up that she truly believes this.
Yeah.
Right.
But with the other two allegations, it makes no sense, and they don't add up. They just don't add up.
Okay.
So then I guess the question would then be: do you believe that this could be potentially something brought up by the Democrats? That this was
I don't think it. Well, I think part of it was planned. I do, because Dianne Feinstein had this, and she had the allegation for a couple months, and then right before the Senate Judiciary Committee hearings are over, and it's going to be moved to the actual Senate floor, Washington Post comes out with the article.
Okay,
Dianne Feinstein said that she had no. I didn't leak it. I didn't leak it. Very possible that she's telling the truth, but the timing. Even Bill Maher said this on his show. If you watch Bill Maher, right when this came out, even he said it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. It looks bad on us that this happened.
So then, what about? Okay, I guess if we're
hold on, I have a question. Now, did she break the whole doctor-patient confidentiality there? Did she have permission to do that? Okay.
Yeah, I would.
Well, no,
if you're the patient,
you can release
any
notes. It'd be different if the therapist released her notes. Right. The therapist didn't. Dr. Ford came forward with them.
All right.
So then I guess if we're going to talk about what's fishy in the air, the timeline specifically here, and Blake, I don't know, we'd have to do quick on the fly. I should have brought this up before. The timeline for bringing up the signatures of the women, where okay, so essentially what happens is after they make all the allegations, Kavanaugh brings to the committee like a list of 30 signatures of women that he knew in high school / college that corroborated his side of the story, saying that he's a good, upstanding, he'd never do this kind of thing. So and the point there was they had Feinstein was holding on to this letter. Everything comes out. Dr. Ford then comes out and says, "Hey, this is the truth. This isn't just some floating huff piece." Then, very shortly was my understanding of this timeline that the signatures come out, and then it's like, oh well, Kavanaugh's not a bad guy. He is, all these women can, can speak to his goodness, which I will say. I don't think by any means is that a valid defense at all, because
also, but
just because you have consistency, and just because you have yes, I know it probably at least 30 women that would say that I'm an okay guy, but that doesn't mean, well, okay, I am an okay guy, kind of, more or less, but that doesn't mean I am, just because you donate $1 to some homeless guy every day doesn't mean that
it's extra minor,
but we also have to be consistent. So just because there was a petition that came out with like 125,000 signatures that came out. When was that? Sorry. No, that was 5 days ago. That was 5 days ago that a signature with 125,000 signatures came out that said that Kavanaugh definitely did this, and he should be impeached if he ever gets in.
Wait, 25,000?
125,000.
125 of just random people, though?
Yeah. Does that mean the man's guilty? No.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, not. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, just because
let's just make sure we're consistent with it. Just because it doesn't make you innocent, but also doesn't make you guilty.
Yeah, ignorance is not innocence either. And actually, what I have to say about this is, you are different people for different people. Now, he could say he's on his best behavior for these 30 people, and then have completely different personal behavior, private behavior, where he might actually be this person that they're saying he is. But you can't say it either way, because you don't have evidence for either topic or either position.
Well, so
his alumni was October 2nd when that petition came out, and it had about 100 alumni saying, or has picked up 96 signatures. Well, I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
A petition that was started just a few days ago by 2 alumni at Brett Kavanaugh's high school to encourage other graduates to come forward with information about any sexual assaults he committed has picked up 96 signatures. The petition states that our silence will serve no one, describes its signers from all boys Georgetown Preparatory School as standing in support of Dr. Ford and the solidarity with women everywhere who have endured sexual assault, violence, and harassment.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so now with that new piece of information, that
you have 96 people that went to Kavanaugh's high school that
said,
back
hey,
up,
he's a creep, essentially.
or say
really.
that they stand with Dr. Ford.
Really.
Again, the evidence is
Are they standing with Dr. Ford
that's
because
what
they?
it said.
Okay, so then they agree that they wouldn't be standing with Dr. Ford if they didn't believe that.
Sure.
Because then that means they think Kavanaugh has the
potential to do it.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Okay, well, the potential means fucking dick.
Yeah.
We all have the potential to do horrible
I don't know what
things.
you're talking about. I'm perfect in being.
No, that's
Right.
ridiculous.
And
Think
I'm-
about Jordan Peterson touches on this
Yeah.
constantly.
Mhm.
Think about all three of us, maybe except for Yuval.
Mm.
But no, just at least for this situation, Jordan Peterson specifically discusses how if I let's take me, because I feel like this is a really hard situation for you two. If I was born in 1920,
That's easy. I could be born in 1925.
in Germany,
Sure.
Okay.
I would be a Nazi right now. I would.
Okay.
That's my potential for human suffering.
sure.
I could fucking murder people for no reason.
Right.
I have that
'Cause you were
potential
born
in me.
that.
But that doesn't mean fucking dick in court. Your potential to do something means absolutely nothing.
True. No,
Means
you're right.
literally nothing.
Yeah.
If I would be laughed at out of class if when I was in school and we were talking about whatever court case, McGregor versus the United States in 1873 or whatever, I would be laughed out in court saying, well, yeah, he may not have done it, but he definitely has the potential to do it. So doesn't that mean enough?
No, it doesn't.
Of course
Because
not.
I mean, even if you we don't want to get on this huge tangent, but if you even look at the Nazis in general, they were highly educated on these topics and they were still brainwashed on it.
Yeah,
No,
but that's not the point. But yeah, we all have potential to do evil things. It does
Mhm.
not mean
You still have the option to
Sticking
not
the
do
tip
it.
of my mouth.
There were plenty of Germans that didn't do it.
Sure.
That-
but the potential is there. That's the point. The potential is there, but that doesn't mean that I potentially could.
So now I have a kind of following question.
Okay. bring it
Yeah.
on.
So Judge Kavanaugh,
Mhm.
whether he did it, whether he did not do it, is the world will never know. Maybe, who knows? Does that invalidate any? And I guess this is kind of wrapping it back to Bill Cosby specifically. That conversation does that invalidate his opinions, thoughts, choices, anything that he does moving forward?
Well, what was the conclusion that we came to with Cosby? It
His-
doesn't invalidate any of the good that
he's
did,
done,
but
but what about moving forward? Like, moving now that you know that this man may or may not be a sexual predator, doesn't that kind of does that impact at all? Or now that he's accepted into the office, it's clear you can move on. It's you won't let that.
Well, that's under the assumption. With Cosby, it was under the notion that he obviously was guilty.
Mhm,
I don't
sure.
think we've narrowed down or come to a strong conclusion about whether or not Kavanaugh did it or not.
Do you think that there should be like a follow up, like a year
Yes.
down the road?
I
checking out?
think
can you
yes. I
investigate
think
further?
if you could, if the FBI can investigate this as much as they want, but
yeah. But how can you investigate further?
but that's what's so difficult, and that's what really fucked Dr. Ford's story.
Mhm.
Is like we want to believe her. We want to believe that if that's true, then we need to get this monster out
Yeah.
of the Supreme Court.
we
But she's
can't
not
prove it.
helping herself.
She's
She's
not.
not giving them
Cogent,
an accurate
like-
place, an accurate time period,
Mhm.
an accurate amount of witnesses, an accurate amount of accurate amount of information about what actually truly happened. She can't even remember who took her home after that incident, but she remembers everything perfectly for about an hour and a half, and then, but
Sure.
she's not helping herself. She's not
Sure.
helping us out to figure out if this is really true or not. Just saying that you believe that this happened,
Mhm.
I'm sorry, but that doesn't substantiate any of your claims, especially if this is a court of law.
Well, okay, so hold on. We have to. This isn't a court of law. This is.
I
Going to be the
understand it's
man
not,
for the.
but
But hold on. No, you're good. Because this has happened, and because whether or not it's not, we both it's out of the statute of limitations. This is he's not going to be arrested whether or not he is or is not guilty. But in this type of position, to be a Supreme Court justice, do you think even being attached to this, he should be allowed to continue? Because now he's gonna. Don't you think that will impair his judgment potentially moving forward? Now that his name has been dragged through the mud, and according to himself in his opening speech, his family has been severely impacted by all of this. Do you think then that it's fair to let someone? I mean, obviously that we're talking hindsight here, but do you think it's fair to let someone attached with all that? Because who knows what he's gonna do making his decisions moving forward, or do you think he? Do you kind of get what I'm getting at?
We have a great piece of evidence that says what would happen if that happened, and we see that with Clarence Thomas. Zero, controversy regarding Clarence Thomas since 1991, and he's been on Supreme Court for 27 years.
Okay, so that we can pretty much without a doubt say that was not true.
Well, I mean,
or if it was, he's changed his ways.
You're talking about a hunky black man versus a scrawny white guy.
Complete
scrawny
180.
White dude that if you listen to any of his, did you listen to his full testimony?
No, not him.
Well, he talks about being number 1% in his class and being number one at Harvard or at Yale Law School.
He's that guy.
Well, he felt the need to say that in order to show people, look, I wasn't wasting my fucking time.
He didn't have time.
Drinking beer and gang raping girls. I was top of my class, and I was on the basketball team, and I was doing all this stuff. That's he's not a fucking. He may be a kiss ass, but he's not a chump.
Yeah, morally,
Sure.
he doesn't have the capacity. He's saying that he doesn't have the time to have done what they're saying he did either.
Mm-hmm.
And the Democrats also tried to reach into his actual high school yearbook, and they looked at signatures from people.
Oh, really?
And, and it said a couple of times.
Can't wait till you're on the Supreme Court nominee council board.
No.
One day we'll wait and write this.
A couple of them were talking about Kavanaugh's weak stomach in regards to drinking.
Oh, really?
Some of the signatures. Now,
okay.
That's interesting that you say that, because you think that's what? Kavanaugh has a weak stomach when it comes to beer?
Sure.
So he was drinking.
He did do this when he was drunk, and maybe I think that's just a high. That's what jumps out to me is still no fucking proof.
Yeah,
sure.
Exactly.
But I mean, the substantial evidence, you don't think at least can sway you on the guilty not guilty spectrum? Like bringing up the high school yearbook
dude had
stuff.
A weak stomach,
or whatever. I mean, don't you think that should be taken into consideration at all?
Okay, no, wait, hold on.
No,
How many
high school yearbook with a bunch
people?
Of friends that write in fart jokes?
Exactly. Yeah.
If someone were to look at my high school yearbook,
sure.
No one gave a shit. Yeah.
Fuck no. They would think that's the most ridiculous, preposterous shit that anybody has ever written. Is that a penis or is that an elephant trunk? You know what I'm saying? That's. It's no, I wouldn't take that into evidence as interesting. They're writing fart jokes about him and throwing up. Interesting.
I don't know. That's because again we're at just a he said she said. You kind of just have to be grasping at straws, and I think playing at that field, grasping at straws. If both sides can do it, I think then that's fair game.
Okay.
Well, they are,
and I think we also
I don't think the Republicans were.
We're also forgetting about
doing as much investigating. They just wanted the thing to move along.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fair.
Fine.
I think we're also forgetting about a very key factor in all of this.
See,
both of them were 16.
Okay.
They weren't adults,
right?
Even if this happened currently, he could not be tried.
I'd be careful where you're going with this, Blake.
What do you mean? He can't be tried as a legal adult.
Exactly, but also he was drinking.
I don't think if you're a shithead as a kid, that excuses you that you can magically, I'm gonna, now I'm an adult and I was just a shit. I don't think that excuses
You're very
you.
right. So let's take that logic. Still, if you think that he did this at 16,
sure.
Shouldn't he be doing this for a long time? He shouldn't be a shithead for the rest of his life. No, the man was number one in this class at Harvard or at Yale Law School,
right.
And the justice on the U.S. Court of Appeals for the D.C. Circuit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
And then
piece of shit, huh?
Hold on. And then even if he did, first of all,
Bill Cosby wasn't a piece of shit he
was secretly
Bill
a piece
was
of
doing
shit.
this for years.
Sure.
27 women came out.
And so what happens if 30 years down the road, Kavanaugh's like?
I think if there was a chance for all these women to come, if there were 27 women out there that were assaulted by Kavanaugh, I think
be here.
Currently this would be the perfect time for that to come out, because that's what happened with every single Me Too person that got Me Too'd.
Yeah, but there are still people coming out now from the beginning of the Me Too movement, so it just takes time and confidence,
right? But not with the same person.
I mean, what if these people are like, oh, that was that, and they didn't pay attention to who Judge Kavanaugh was, and then they're out of the news cycle.
And then that's why the United States Senate can still hold impeachment trials.
Okay, all right, that's
and
fair.
I'm perfectly game for Kavanaugh to get impeached if more come out and they are substantiated by actual evidence.
Well, okay, all right, that's fine. I guess just then, and anything else on this that you want to
say?
Go for it.
Go ahead, Aaron.
Like, okay, even if someone was a shithead when they were 16, and he's how old now? In his 50s, 40s?
50s.
He
is 27. He
doesn't have the ability to change in those 40 years to the point where he's changed his entire character. Like, I
disagree with that.
I've made leaps and bounds in 2 years.
That's anecdotal. So we're talking about somebody that can actually, turn their life around within a few years, and that's definitely possible.
It's very possible.
I am not even close to the same person I was when I was 16. If I was the same person when I was 16, I'd hope that my best friends would say, "What the fuck is wrong with you? Like, change your shit up, dude. You're 22 and you're sucking like a goddamn 16-year-old."
Now we know how people age and people change. Okay. Is there any possible way that he could have actually done it?
Sure.
I don't know. All I'm saying is that even if there's a 1% chance of him that he could have done it or he could not have done it,
he's out.
I mean, you're on the DC circuit since 2006. I mean, it's not like you're totally shit out of a job. I'm sure that.
What are you talking about? Shit out of the job?
What do you mean?
Think about every single person that got accused of allegations. Their professional lives are over.
Are tanked.
Right.
Gone.
So what do you mean he can go back to U.S. Court of Appeals? No, he can't. He's fucking done professionally.
Well, Kavanaugh is not done. He's
obviously not,
right?
But because they didn't, because he got appointed. But
he's still been blacklisted. Though.
No. I don't think he was blacklisted though. I think
basically he has been though.
It was essentially it happens, nominee. And then the FBI investigation, they make their decision. They could have easily said, you know what, even with the circumstantial evidence in this FBI stuff, we're going to go ahead and not appoint him. I'm sure that there are people that he could have still gotten. Okay, well, then I guess he just can't be a judge.
But he's still a judge.
Can't work.
That's fine. He can't work. That's fine. He's got millions of dollars probably. His wife probably works.
He's going to work on his kids. He's going to work off of his nest egg his entire life.
10-year-old and 11-year-old.
Oh yeah, totally not worth it for his children.
They probably have some kind of Etsy shop.
Obviously,
is this where this conversation is going? Are we just assuming?
Yeah, he's just
shit about his personal finances.
You know what?
Personal life. Okay,
he's obviously super rich.
I really don't have anything else to say. I think we've kind of hit.
No, I mean, how often do you find someone with that kind of credentials and you're gonna completely throw dynamite at
There are plenty of people with just as much credentials. Obama came out of nowhere. I didn't even know about Obama until he was a president, and then they were like, "Oh yeah, he was a
senator, bro."
Yeah, I didn't know.
I didn't know that either. We were both.
That's what I'm saying.
It was 2008. We were like 11. What do you want?
We
were 14. 13.
Yeah,
13.
we were probably entering high school. Maybe.
No, we were not. No. That was 8th grade.
2008.
That was 8th grade.
We would have been 12, 13 years old.
Okay. Either way.
There's no way we would have known about that. My parents did.
It doesn't matter.
My dad loved Senator Obama. And they was like, wow, he's actually going to be president. Like, that's how it happened in my opinion.
Well, I still think in terms of, there are lots of judges out there, so I'm sure that there are other valid.
Yeah. I think this is also, this is symbolic for Republicans.
What do you mean?
Or symbolic basically for people that are accused of any crime, specifically sexual assault or sexual harassment in today's day and age.
What do you mean?
If there is a severe lack of evidence from who we vote in as the sharpest minds of the political spectrum, and they find him not guilty, then you need to have evidence in order to support your claim. You cannot just start throwing around that this person did this and this person did
obviously
this.
You can't
But I think this sets precedent for that.
At
least for Republicans. For Democrats and liberals, they're going to stay upset about this.
Oh, you don't think Republicans are going to try and
there's going to be this select few.
The same exact thing?
There's going to be always a select few that think that.
Oh, of course they would. But I'm saying currently right now in this environment, you're going to have Republicans that are cheering because Kavanaugh made it through, but you're still going to have Democrats and liberals. I'm sure there's a petition out there that is trying to get Kavanaugh impeached. I think it's a complete and total clusterfuck. I think we all can agree on that. But I think where we also can agree is that, I don't even think we can agree on that. I think what we can agree on is that you need substantial evidence in any case. You need substantial evidence in any case where the accused denies all allegations.
Okay.
Like Louis, whenever everything happened with Kevin Spacey, there wasn't sufficient evidence that was necessary because he said, all right, it happened.
Yeah, they owned up to it.
I would be more likely to believe if it wasn't at the perfect political time to screw him up.
Yeah, it doesn't look good.
It really looks like it was a political move to me. Now, if the timing wasn't the way it is, I would be a hell of a lot more likely to believe the woman, because a lot of the time they think shit happens. It's really it. Shit happens.
No,
I think if shit happens for you, then you don't deserve to be a judge.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm not trying to qualify him. I'm saying
no, you're right. Shit happens.
There are a lot of sexual favors when it comes to Hollywood, and I would not doubt there are some for political heads too.
I don't know about that.
I think that this is just it's confusing.
This is,
but I think what throws out the biggest red flags to me is how irresponsible. Because Dr. Ford asked Dianne Feinstein and her representatives and her counsel to not go public with my allegation. She asked that. That was very strict. And I think the way that the Democrats handled this with this so-called accidental leak is more hard on Dr. Ford than I feel sorry for her because of how irresponsible Dianne Feinstein and her counsel were with her information. I think that's very sad that's how that they treated her allegation as a political pawn. And I think that's how I see it. I don't think Dr. Ford came into this with the intention of being a political pawn.
Okay.
But do I think that the Democrats jumped on every single opportunity to use her as a political... Of course.
Yes, they did.
No.
Of course they did.
Of course they did.
They could have
because I think the timing says it all. And I think if you listen to Kavanaugh's second hearing, or Kavanaugh's hearing after 10 days after the allegations were set forward publicly, you will hear every single Democratic member of that Senate Judiciary Committee just grill Kavanaugh saying, you need to ask for an FBI investigation. You need to do that. And that's so obvious that it's because the Democrats wanted this investigation to go on for so long after midterm elections.
Yeah,
and they were banking on getting a majority in the Senate. That way they could turn Kavanaugh down. I think that was very obvious.
Sure.
And I think
you blame them though for trying to want to do that? If your end goal is to make change in what you want, can you blame either party?
It's not making change because their goal was
to strike down someone who would be who
they thought would even after
change.
But it wasn't the change. Change.
I'm just saying moving forward into the future. If
sure, yeah, but in the future, yeah. I thought you were just strictly talking about Roe v. Wade and how.
No.
Democrats
I'm just saying American progress just in general.
Okay, then yeah. I don't think I can blame them, but at least be more subtle about it.
Oh,
Jesus
for sure.
Christ.
We have definitely mudslinging has gone an all-time worse, and
Jesus.
Are we
don't treat
sure
people
about
like
that?
humans.
Because back in even Abe Lincoln's day, there was a hell of a lot of mudslinging.
Right, but
especially
the American people weren't as apparent to it as they are now.
The Civil War.
If you're going to chalk that up to mudslinging, Aaron, then I think
no. I meant the political climate. You're saying it's worse now. I'm not sure that could actually.
No, I'm not saying the political climate is worse now.
Grosser.
I think American people are more
gross.
I think American people are more aware of what our politicians are doing versus having to wait a month and a half for a pony to come up with a letter that says, "Oh, here's what Jefferson Davis from South Carolina said."
Yep. What color is the pony?
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Can it be brown?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
If we're gonna look at this from intellectually and logically, and from a criminal, criminal law, not from a legal standpoint, it just doesn't hold up. Unfortunately, because if this is true, then that's devastating. Yeah, and we just let in some fucking madman.
Yeah. Okay.
But
can I say I told you so in 50 years when this gets
absolutely shove it in my face. Right. I'll spray paint it on my car.
Yeah.
All right.
In 50 years.
Any closing thoughts for you guys?
If you are a woman and you are having trouble and you're going through rough times, specifically with sexual assault and sexual misconduct,
report that shit.
You cannot stay quiet anymore.
Yeah.
you need to come out, and
It'll be hard.
It will be difficult, but I promise you have more people on your side than more people that aren't.
Thank you guys for being on. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And have a great day or night or whenever you're listening to it.